Hi, I'm Anthony Delcall.
Hi, I'm Stefan Tosheff, and we're the creators of Romeo versus Juliet, a Kill Shakespeare Adventure.
And you're listening to the True North Country Comics podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. On this episode, I chat with Anthony Delcall and Stefan Tosheff about their new graphic novel, Romeo vs. Juliet, a Kill Shakespeare Adventure. Please like and subscribe to this website by hitting the subscribe button so be notified about new podcast interviews and article posts. This podcast is available wherever podcasts are enjoyed. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Originally from Canada but currently residing in New York City, Anthony Delcall is a Pulitzer Prize-winning writer-producer of podcasts and comics. His stories include Kill Shakespeare, Assassin's Creed, the controversial graphic novel The Death of Nancy Drew, and the award-winning insider comic I Escaped a Chinese Internment Camp, that won him a 2022 Pulitzer Award for illustrated reporting and commentary. His 2020 audio drama Assassin's Creed Gold, starring Oscar nominee Riz Ahmed, was Audible's top-rated release of the year. His first project with Audible, the found-footage thriller Unheard, the story of Anna Winslow, hit #1 on Audible and broke download records. Other projects include the Ringo Awards-nominated graphic novel Son of Hitler. Few stories are this much fun, said NPR. Luke Cage, Every Man for Marvel. 3 seasons of Wondery's hit podcast Against the Odds. Over 50 episodes of the Army Matters podcast, and a series of acclaimed and award-winning comics for Insider that explore subjects such as anti-Muslim policies in India, infiltration camps in Ukraine, and migrant workers in Qatar. His new work, available this month, is Romeo vs. Juliet, a Kill Shakespeare Adventure. Stefan Tosheff is an illustrator and comic artist from Vancouver, British Columbia. He loves guitar riffs, play fighting, singing people's names to them, and hates being late for anything. Stefan has a diploma in commercial animation and an enhanced diploma in illustration and design application, both from Capilano University. He's worked for Boom Comics, Titmouse, Chapterhouse Comics, Lev Gleason Comichouse, Skybound Studios, Super Publishing, Dossier Creative INC, Wasserman Media Group, DDB Canada, Cossiette, Exit 22, Titmouse Animation Studio, Dreamworks, and has won 2 awards for illustration from Applied Arts. Stefan is the illustrator for Romeo vs. Juliet, a Kill Shakespeare Adventure. The story of Romeo vs. Juliet, a Kill Shakespeare Adventure goes like this. In the Shakespearean Western, warrior for hire and pregnant, Juliet Capulet is hired to protect a border town nunnery from the evil forces led by her ex, Romeo. As they prepare, she reluctantly reunites with her old allies, including Hamlet, Othello, Puck, a magnificent Shakespeare 7, but they soon discover something rotten in the state of the nunnery and a magical force that dreams are made on, all while Juliet must determine if the father of her child is Hamlet or the man she must kill, Romeo. So, without further ado, here's my chat with Anthony Delcall and Stefan Tosheff about their new graphic novel, Romeo vs. Juliet, a Kill Shakespeare Adventure.
So, Anthony Delcall and Stefan Tosheff, thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
Thanks for having us on. It's great to chat with you again, John, and it's always a pleasure to hang out with Stefan.
Well, it's great that you're both here, so I do appreciate it. Before I go to all the questions, I would like to know, what are you reading today? And maybe I'll ask Stefan to go first.
Today, I was reading Zatanna, Bring Down the House. It's like a cool Zatanna comic book with really great art, so big recommend there.
Is that a new book? I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it's newish. I think the collected graphic novel came out pretty recently. It's DC Black Label. Mariko Tamaki wrote it, and it has really great art by, I don't know how to say it. It's Javier Rodriguez, I think. Yeah, I guess a J is an H, right? So
You pronounce that like a Canadian.
I did. Well, I am.
And how about you, Anthony? What are you reading these days?
I am actually going back to the vault. Well, not today. I mean, what am I reading right now? What am I reading right now is the news, and which is full of despair and depressing. And that's why I need more escapism. And so my escapism these days is to go back to the classic Green Arrow, Green Lantern run with the Neil Adams and is it Dennis O'Neill, right? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking.
Yeah.
The classics where they go back and they travel across the United States of America, and they get into adventures that are not just superhero based, but more about society and culture. It was a groundbreaking series, I guess, when it was first launched, and I was embarrassed to admit that I'd never seen it, even though I've worked with Neil Adams' son Josh. We won a Pulitzer together, but I've never read it before. So Josh sent me copies of it recently, and I'm devouring them, and it's incredible. It's dated and yet it's timeless at the same time.
Yeah,
So it's great to be able to go in and read through these things.
it's definitely a classic, that's for sure. But we're here talking about your latest book, Romeo versus Juliet, a Kill Shakespeare Adventure. So I'm wondering if you two can tell me what is it all about?
Romeo versus Juliet is a Shakespearean Western, which finds Juliet recruited to a warrior for hire, Julia Capulet, who we all know from Romeo and Juliet and the Kill Shakespeare series, who is recruited by a small border town nunnery to help protect themselves from oncoming forces, which are led by or involve her ex Romeo Montague. In order to protect the nunnery, she has to recruit her old allies, namely Hamlet, Othello, Puck, and a range of others. And so, as they prepare for battle, they start to investigate. They realize that everything in the nunnery and the town is not what it appears to be. And so, there's mysteries on the external front and mysteries on the internal front. We like to call it our little Magnificent Shakespeare 7. And when you throw all these major characters together, all these Shakespearean ones together, it's a lot of fun, and it comes out later this month. It technically is a continuation of the Kill Shakespeare series, which is something I co-created and released initially 15 years ago, which is ridiculous and crazy when I say that out loud. It makes me feel extremely old. But yeah, it's a continuation technically or a remix. So if you've those who've read or that are fans of Kill Shakespeare, this is a continuation of it. And for those that have never heard of it or never tried to check it out before, it's an easy, fun way to get into an adventure. It's just a cool Western with a major love triangle. There's fantasy in there. There's violence. There's action. There's witty comments, witty poetry, et cetera, et cetera. And it's got some of the best artwork you've seen this side of the 49th parallel.
Oh, thanks, Anthony.
It's unparalleled artwork.
So, Stefan, were you excited that the story has a Western setting?
Yeah, I was, because I've never really done anything like that before, and it really gave me the opportunity to do with like a lot of work in the lighting, because I was trying to take lots of inspiration from that type of sunset Western aesthetic. So it allowed me to do lots of cool stuff with the lighting and the textures. I wanted to have like almost a filmic quality, so fun to experiment.
Anthony mentioned Magnificent Seven. Was that an inspiration for you?
Yeah, that was one. And also just like classic Western paintings of that time. Like not that they were made in that time, but like paintings of that time. There's a lot to draw from in those. I don't know, I was trying to capture this type of Americana that is nostalgic, but it's funny because it doesn't take place in America at all.
So, Anthony, I got to ask you this question then. Why should someone, a reader today, be interested in characters created by Shakespeare hundreds of years ago?
Why? Because they are the greatest characters ever created. There's a reason that Romeo and Juliet, that Hamlet, Othello, Richard III, King Lear, you name them. I mean, there's a reason these plays are still taught in class, and there's a reason they're still performed and adapted, 400 years later, because they're the greatest stories ever created and the greatest characters. I mean, they've created the archetypes for any of the characters that you enjoy today. I mean, in the case of Romeo and Juliet, the original story, I mean, when people think of romance and they think of love at first sight, I mean, the first thing they think of is Romeo and Juliet, seeing each other across a crowded room in the play. When people think of romantic comedy, I mean, it's all there in Much Ado About Nothing. Beatrice and Benedict who hate each other or dislike each other at the beginning of it, and eventually they fall for each other. I mean, just turn on any Hallmark movie, At Christmas time, all shot up in Canada, of course, and you'll see that. And I've said this a couple of times of late, but even Batman, if you look, someone who is scarred by the death of a parent or parents and tries to go out and get revenge or justice, I mean, that's Hamlet right there. I mean, these are stories and characters that are timeless, much like our story and much like the Green Arrow, Green Lantern series from the 70s, but they're timeless and we can learn from them. We can still learn from them today.
Oh, that's good. Now, I got to ask you about the collaboration process. Can you tell me how did it happen? Anthony, did you come up with this story first and you said to Stefan, okay, away you go, or was it a little bit of back and forth?
In terms of the origin of the story, with Kill Shakespeare, it was about a 2-year process where myself and my Kill Shakespeare co-creator, Colin McCreary, we did everything we could to get all the rights back. We'd licensed the rights out for comics and for board games and audio and film and TV and everything over the years, and they were all kind of stuck in limbo. And so it was around the time of the pandemic that we said, well, look, I mean, I want to get these back. We want to get the rights back and start fresh again. And so it took a while. It took lawyers involved. I don't want to get into all the details when it comes to our former publisher and how horrible it was to get the rights back from them and everything like that. But we were able to do it. And then in that process, I sat back and was like, okay, I might have a chance to redo to launch Kill Shakespeare again or relaunch it. So what do I want to do? What's the story I want to tell? And what came to me was one image. And this always happens with most of my comic projects. It was an image, and it was an image of Juliet and Romeo squaring off against each other in a high noon Western style showdown. And I was like, oh my God, like that image just came to my mind and I got instantly excited. The light bulb went off. I got goosebumps and I was like, okay, that's my story. Like that's the beginning of my story or the end of my story, but what is the rest of it? And so from there, I kind of built upon that. I started to build the layers and layers on top of all of that. And then, I realized there would be a Western story. I realized there would be border town nunnery. I realized Juliet would be at the center of it. It would all culminate in the showdown between Romeo and Juliet, spoiler alert, of course. And, so I had a lot of the elements in place. Then it came time for the most important part, which was the artist. I have an artist's caddy, I guess you could say. Keith Morris, he's my go-to guy whenever I want to. I feel like he spends 12 hours a day just looking for artists and talking to artists. And so I was like, look, I mean, I want to bring Kill Shakespeare back. I've got this idea for this Magnificent Shakespeare 7 story, Romeo versus Juliet, and I want to find an artist. And he stopped me right there. And he's like, okay, I know who you want. I'm like, what? I was like, well, don't you want to know more about what I'm looking for? He's like, no, I know who you want. And he's like, it's this guy I've worked with a couple of times at Chapterhouse called Stefan Tosheff. Canadian, great art, great with emotion, great with action. You should really meet him. I think he'd be a great fit for you. And as soon as I looked at his artwork, I was like, yes, this is the perfect artist for it. And then I approached Stefan and he said no to me numerous times. He said he was too good for this project. He really looked down on me in general. He didn't like the fact that I was living in the States. He didn't like dealing with people that live in the United States anymore. And for myriad of reasons, he just hated me. And then, much like with my wife, I just kept on hounding him, and I eventually wore him down, and eventually he said yes. So no, I'm just kidding. No, I approached him, and we had a great. I think it was the first. Yeah, I think the first time. I think within a minute or two, I was like, okay, not only is he a great artist, but he's also a really cool guy. And I
Thanks,
like
man.
him. So yeah, I mean, it was artist love at first sight, I guess you could say, almost Romeo and Juliet-esque, which,
Yeah,
as we
it was good.
ends in a tragedy. So, dun, dun, dun.
I already drank the poison, so
Okay, good. Okay, good.
No,
So it's your turn now.
So did you like have the script ready and you threw it over the wall and said, Stefan, go run away and I'll just sit here and wait till you're done? Is that how it worked?
no, we worked back and forth a lot. Like he would send me a script, and he wouldn't make too many changes after I drew a page to the dialogue, only if it was like necessary or if he thought something would work better. And sometimes I would change stuff and I would add panels or take away panels if I thought they were either unnecessary or necessary, just for pacing. And like for the more complicated layouts, we would go back and forth a lot and really work to make sure that like Anthony got exactly what he was imagining in his head.
Yeah, what was really cool was that, yeah, I mean, I didn't give him the full, hey, here's 120 pages, just go to town on it. And I could do that, but I like the more going back and forth. So I most of the time, correct me if I'm wrong, Stefan, on this, but I feel like I would just send you like like we broke it into 5 acts.
Yeah.
I'd send you an act at a time. So here's act 1, here's act 2, act 3, and then kind of go through it. Let's sit down, let's chat about it. Sometimes Stefan would come in with really great ideas that would force me to go back and do more work. Gosh.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
man, I got to rewrite this page for him. Now it's better. Now I have to admit he's a good artist and he's making me better. But no, it was great to be able to work that way. And I knew it was a graphic novel. I mean, the contract or the deal with Gemstone was out to be a graphic novel, but I kind of like the issue by issue writing style because, again, it allows us to sort of tinker or change or alter as the story goes on. And I would
You
often
get more evolution that way.
exactly. I'd see what Stefan's doing with the characters and allow me to kind of build on that. I was like, oh wow, he's doing some great work with, say, some of the emotional moments with Juliet or with Hamlet. I'm like, okay, I need to write more of that. So I didn't have that scripted in, say, in Act 3 or Act 4. I was like, I need to add another scene in there. So yeah, it allows me to kind of, yeah, as Stefan so succinctly put it, evolve. It allows an evolution of the story.
That's cool. Stefan, maybe you could talk a little bit about the tools you use to create your art. Are you a traditional or a digital artist?
I think I only did one page in the entire book traditionally because I was taking care of my sister after she had knee surgery. She's fine, don't worry. So I did one page on paper, but besides that, I did it all Photoshop.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Not too bad, huh? Not too shabby.
Like even the sketch work, you used a Photoshop?
Yeah, from the bottom up, just because it's a lot faster for me to work that way. And it makes it a lot easier for Anthony to give me a myriad of notes.
Myriad is putting it like a gigantic pile or a gigantic mountain of notes. Yes.
Now that you two have got this great collaboration going and you've got this great book coming out, will there be more?
You're looking for an exclusive soundbite here, aren't you? I mean, the plan is to do more, but it all depends on how well this book does. I mean, we've been fortunate. Gemstone Publishing is our publisher. They've been great since day number one. We had a myriad of options.
There you go.
There you go. Boom. Thank you. See, look, he just makes my writing so much better. But no, we had a couple options. We came to publisher. We signed with Gemstone. They were a great fit for it. And the plan was always to re-release the original Kill Shakespeare book. So we put it out first folio back in October, which collects the first two volumes of Kill Shakespeare. Kill Shakespeare folio, second folio will come out in October of this year. That collects volumes 3 through 5, which brings everything up to date on this one. And the plan was beyond that to do Romeo versus Juliet, and then if this one does well, to do more. So, I mean, we'd love to do. We have roughly mapped out what the next another 4 books would be, but it all depends on the success of this. I mean, thus far, there's solid indicators, but I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. In terms of working with Stefan, absolutely not. Lawyers already contacted him earlier today, a cease and desist and a restraining order from him. So, no, I mean, I'd love to work with him before. One of the impressive things was not only is his art great, but he also he works really, really quickly. And as someone who's worked with a number of artists, it's great to be able to find someone who not only has high quality, but also is able to hit deadlines. And I know there were 1 or 2 deadlines that he missed just barely. And the entire time he kept he's truly Canadian. He kept on apologizing. I'm so sorry about this. I'm so sorry about this. Don't worry about it, man. We still have time. But yeah, no, I would love to work with him again. Again, he's a talented artist. He hits his deadlines, but he's also a cool guy to hang out with. Ironically enough, the only time we've met in person was after the book was done.
Yeah.
He came out to New York for New York Comic Con last October, and so we were able to hang out and get to know each other even more in person, which is incredibly fun.
Yeah, it was great.
It's cool. And I understand there's a signing coming up. There's some activity going on this month related to the book and to Shakespeare in general.
Well, the book is released on April 22nd. The day after is April 23rd is World Shakespeare Day. The reason is that Shakespeare was born on April 23rd and he died on April 23rd. Can you get more poetic than that? But yeah, so that's why the book is tied in with the release of World Shakespeare Day. In terms of signings, we have a number of signings that are coming up. The only one that I can announce right now is, I'm going to be doing a signing at the Beguiling in Toronto. I currently live in New York, or Brooklyn to be more precise. I know what a cliche, a comic book writer and podcaster working in Brooklyn, great. But no, I'm going back to Canada for a week, to Montreal to visit some family, and then Toronto as well. And so I'm very fortunate and looking forward to doing a signing at the Beguiling.
Beguiling's one of the best shops in Canada.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm very, very fortunate. I haven't done a signing there for at least a decade. I think one of our first signings for Kill Shakespeare when it first came out was at the Big Island, and that was a highlight. And so, yeah, I'm excited to do that. That'll be on Wednesday, the 16th from 4 to 6 p.m., I believe. So if you're in Toronto, in that area, please come on by, check out. They've got early advanced copies of Romeo versus Juliet. They've also got a first folio, and I'm happy to either do a Shakespearean monologue for you, or a song and a dance, or I can do an impersonation of Stefan.
He's really good at it.
Not really. If people are willing to pay to buy a copy of the book, I'm willing to go out on a limb and try to come up with a. I'm not cool enough to do a really good impersonation of him, unfortunately. I mean, I don't know if you know John, but not only is Stefan an incredible artist, illustrator, but he's also a really cool musician too. I don't know if he's ever talked to you about that before.
No, oh, that's great. Multi-talented artist. That's terrific.
I believe the term is multi-hyphenate.
Ah.
Yeah. Oh, nice. A real Renaissance boy.
He has a myriad of talents.
There he is. There we are again. There you go. So it sounds like both of you have a lot on the go. I'm wondering where you recommend people go online to find out about what you've got going on now and in the future.
You go first, Anthony.
To find out more about Kill Shakespeare, you can go to simple www.killshakespeare.com. Do people actually say W's anymore? I don't know.
No, I don't think those exist anymore, actually.
I don't think so. Killshakespeare.com. Kill Shakespeare's on all the social medias, but for myself, it's the exact same thing. So http://www. Just kidding. Anthony Delcol, DELCOL.com is the main hub for me, and then that'll shoot you out to all the socials. I don't know if it links to my Blue Sky. Which is what I'm trying to get more into, because the other ones are very toxic. But yeah, so it's available everywhere. And then in terms of the books, you get them anywhere you can pick up graphic novels, anywhere online, any comic book shop, or any bookstore that carries graphic novels. And like I said, the release date is April 23rd or April 22nd, but I say April 23rd just to celebrate and acknowledge World Shakespeare Day.
Nice. You can find any of my work if you just Google my name pretty easily. I'm on all the socials. I'm on some that I should probably delete still.
Yes.
But I'm just Stefan Tosheff on Blue Sky, on Instagram, all the stuff. And if you just Google my name, you'll find my portfolio pretty easily. So yeah, hit me up there.
But are you on MySpace?
I mean, in the Wayback Machine, I am.
Yes. Yeah. I think we should.
Yeah, hit me up on Nextopia.
So, gentlemen, those are all the questions I have for you, but I'm wondering, is there something I didn't ask that you'd like to get across in this interview?
Oh, there's a myriad of things I'd like to say. No, I mean, I think we've covered most of it. Yeah, I mean, it's for those that are kind of intrigued by this or are just tuning in now and they have no idea what we're talking about. Romeo versus Juliet is just a lot of fun. It's a Western. Like I said, it's got all the best elements of Western. If you know your Shakespeare, you're going to love this. We have a top Shakespeare consultant that came in and basically rewrote a lot of my dialogue. Stefan can attest to that. Made sure that all my these and my thous were correct, and even a couple of the characters. I said, well, you should kind of play around with this one a little bit more. It's Dr. Toby Malone. He's Australian Canadian, but I just want to give him a lot of props because he helped out immensely. The other thing, like I said, Stefan's a super talented artist, but I really want to give a huge shout out to Becca Carey, our letterer. Letterers are, I think, underappreciated in the industry, especially by people that write about comics or cover comics. And Becca did an incredible job. She really nailed it. I mean, I think she might be the most talented letterer I've worked with before. And she was just able to come in and immediately got the gist of the series was, or the book is, the tone that we were looking for. I always have a myriad of notes and stuff like that, but she took them with a lot of grace. And she's also, technically, she's not Canadian, but she lives in Canada. So all the major players in this, myself, Stefan, Becca, Dr. Toby Malone, even Connor McCreary, my Kill Shakespeare co-creator, are all Canadian. So I think the very first email we sent out to promote Kill Shakespeare to media back in July of 2009 was, why are a bunch of Canadians out to kill Shakespeare? And that's still the case because we're Canadian and we're just too nice and we don't know how to kill people properly. So here we are with Romeo versus Juliet.
Thanks to Anthony and Stefan for the chat. You can discover more about Anthony online at anthonydelcole.com and on Instagram at instagram.com/AnthonyDelCole. You can discover more about Stefan Tosheff online at stefantosheff.com and on Instagram at instagram.com/StefanTosheff. And thank you for tuning in to the True North Country Comics podcast. I invite you to visit the True North Country Comics website to listen to even more conversations with creators and gaining their insight on making comic books and graphic novels. I also encourage you to subscribe via the website so you'll be notified about new podcast interviews and article posts. This podcast is available wherever podcasts are enjoyed. Please like, follow, and subscribe. You can follow along True North Country Comics on most social media sites, and you're encouraged to send any and all feedback to John at truenorthcountrycomics.com. Thanks for tuning in, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics Podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2025.